Welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. Time for us again to look at trending issues making the rounds in the current affairs domain, where we look at issues on the global scale and also look at it at the national and subnational level. COP29 is no doubt one of the biggest talking points across the globe, and also the issue of the $300 billion which has been earmarked by developed nations for emerging economies as a way for them to tackle climate change challenges. This is going to be one of the talking points we'll be looking at in today's edition of the program, The Desk, as we look at issues concerning the African continent and the world. We'll also be taking you to the United States of America, where the United States President-elect Donald Trump is in the news, reportedly planning to sign an executive order that would remove all transgender members from the country's military. That's a very interesting talking point, because the LGBTQ community is a strong one. So is this going to pitch Donald Trump against the world is a very big talking point to be looking at on today's edition. Also, we'll be looking at INEC is in the news on our desk as we look at INEC taking knocks from PDP governors as regards to rigging allegations making the rounds. The Independent National Electoral Commission is in the news and has responded to the allegations from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, regarding manipulation of the 2024 Edo State governorship election that has just gone by. So we'll be looking at that keenly, what the INEC has to say as regards what the People's Democratic Party is accusing them of. We'll also be looking at the postponement of the INEC meeting, the next meeting concerning the PDP, where Damagum says it's unsettling stakeholders in the People's Democratic Party. What this holds for one of the strongest parties in Nigeria is the talking point we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program. We'll also be taking you across other interesting talking points regarding the National Assembly. Will they pass the tax reform bills or not? Is a big talking point. It's the North versus the West, the South, and but one member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abdulmumuni Jibril, has claimed that the tax reform will sent by Mr. President will be passed by both chambers. That's a very interesting talking point. You get only this behind the scene big news on The Desk. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for joining me on today's edition. We'll be going for a quick break. When we return from this break, I'll be introducing my guests and we'll be hitting the discuss button. Stay with us. All right, it's time for us to now begin our discussion, and I've got my colleague right here with me to help us look at these issues making the rounds. I've got Deacon Michael will be joining me on the program today as we look at a very interesting talking point. Deacon Michael, thank you for joining me in the studios. All right, so let's look at the final deal of the COP29, where wealthy nations have agreed to earmark $300 billion to help emerging economies like Nigeria and the sub-Saharan Africa as a way for them to tackle the issues of climate change. And looking at the fact that they're going to get this money in 2035, and the amount of money, is it right? Because we're hearing that Nigeria is criticizing the $300 billion earmarked.
I mean, when you look at the issues of climate and Nigeria's representation, even at the COP28 and now COP29, you understand that Nigeria is so much interested about also, queuing behind what the international communities and the rest of the world are currently doing. But the very factors are, if not now, when? And issues of climate is still staring on the faces of many. We look at the fact that many climes and other developed countries are really having it as a target to tackle the issues of climate. It's involving a lot of fundraisings, a lot of investment towards that direction, a lot of technology deployed by many countries, but we are yet to see that really, being reflective in our country. It is, if you look at the fact that a lot of investments so far that have been done, are government really accountable? We've been seeing how securing other loans, other aids from international community, and if we must begin to see, oh fine, we are having support for climate. How can accountable our leaders in respect to implementations and dispensations of all of this for? So it's not just about how much. It's about the willingness. It's about the acceptability. People see climate change in Nigeria as just as a political statement, because it looks that it's not really walking the talk of many people who are subscribing to that. The
woman who is Nigeria's focal point in COP29, talking about Nkrumah Kamadokwe, said alongside the Sierra Leonean environmental minister, is saying the money is not realistic, and they feel like it fell short of the amount they were expecting the developed countries to put together as funds. Do you think this it's a fair analysis?
They are not taking us serious. They know
that this money
they know the problem of Africa. They know the problem of our country. They understand about they know about the corruption. And that's why sometimes we are always preaching that we get to do things right. We want our country to really have all of this stuff. But look at far back COVID-19.
Yes.
The locations, the support, the donations that we had in the country. Can we get people accountable for how much was donated to us? So this is a problem. It's not about how much the international community gets to support Nigeria or Africa. It's about the management of those resources. It's about priorities. Are we really setting our priorities in terms of climate change right? Or are we just having climate change on papers? It's about walking the talk, and the international communities will always see that these are the people that are taking these matters very seriously, and they will always. We've seen the overwhelming, acceptance of climate change. But these people are not fools. They are paying attention to what is happening. They know what is better, and this is how they have to start positioning our country towards that direction.
Do you think Nigeria is truly sincere when it comes to climate change? Because we had the council.
I said it looks that many are seeing it as a political statement. It is not really what is reflective of the people. People see climate change to be a grammar that is not existing in the country. But in real sense, we are having the effect of it. If we visit some part of the north, we visit some locations and all of that, we are being consumed there by there. And when you look at the quotas that have been shared in respect to how much we can,
allocate
to different countries and all of that, you see that yes, we are still behind. We are not really sending much, into the atmosphere, to the hemisphere. But the problem is we cannot continue to wait till it gets too much down on us. That's when we begin to tackle that problem. But let's begin to show sincerity about other things. There are other priorities, and other people will get to support us. That's always the issues.
You remember the former spokesperson of Mr. President, Ngelale?
Yes.
At a point, he was said to become the climate change ambassador for Nigeria. And before Nkrumah also emerged from the National Council of Climate Change. How controversial is Nigeria's stand in terms of climate, in terms of the insincerity of government?
Funny enough, the first outing of the president last year, was, I mean, very first international outing was the COP28. We saw the delegations that went. You saw the list. You know, it was even a controversy. How are we having all of these people going? You know, it wasn't in Dubai, you know, for COP28. How are we having this powerful delegation? Is much. You know, we are talking of reducing cost of governance. How is the president going about this and all of this list? Until the presidency had to respond that, look, it has always been, you know, a yearly event and a yearly ritual. And some of these persons are self-sponsored. Some of these persons are coming out to represent the interests of agencies of government and all of that. Over there, many people did not have a problem. But we saw how the president was so much interested. We saw his presence at the meeting. We saw the presence of all these many official spokespersons to the meeting and all of that. And even to the point that he has to appoint Ngalale as one of the champions of climate change in the country. We saw Ngalale also hosting different meetings in different forums via Zoom and all of this, talking to investors, talking to international community. At the end of the day, what we are saying is that we are still having, you know, the effect of the climate in the country at the little level that we are still seeing.
The flooding, the desert encroachment in the north.
We'll see where government said we had allotted, you know, this particular state, but they took it for granted. Do you just at this moment just allow the state on what to do?
With the money they've already
the money that we have already, which state have we said, oh, we have had these occurrences, but due to the investment of government, this was what we were able to do. And from there, the international community will see that this is a real sincere fight, you know, to secure our environment. Right. Nobody is really saying that, you know, we should be folding our hands watching. We are not happy about how the flood has taken a lot of properties and consumed a lot of life. We are not even happy about what will happen in the future in terms of our environment. But what we are saying is that let there be sincerity of purpose in respect to prioritizing climate change. It just look that it's just a mere words of I don't even know what is out to it.
Okay, just a quick diversion. This just came into the picture. We know that Ngalale was one of the media officers and he was edged out technically. But still yet at the end we are still having three.
Spokespersons.
Three still. So why didn't they allow him?
They have come out to say, I mean, different policy. I mean, okay, get to complain.
Because I'm asking, why now edge him out completely? If at the end we're still going to have three different persons, why didn't you create that room for him? Did it have to do with tribal sentiment at this time around?
I mean, many people have still been waiting to hear, you know, clarifications in respect to his resignation. He said it's for family reasons, but
we know you cannot be there and just.
I mean,
Ngalale
is a seasoned journalist. He has been on the street. He has seen the 4 walls of journalism. So he knows what it means to stand the test of time, even when your family health is at stake. So it wasn't really what many said worth, you know, the resignation. You champion many causes, already having some responsibilities for the president, not just about the spokesperson to the president, but all of that. But the truth of the matter is that since the person in question have not really come out to say these are the factors, and even the presidency has not given a reply to them, yes, fine. I mean, it was you contracted him to do the job. So if you are so resigned based on, in quotes, family, you know, engagement, we wish you understand some background politics that may be involved in all of that. But now that we have, you know, many of these appointments, now we have responsibility shared. We now have Bawa, you know, as one of the spokespersons, Bayo Onanuga as one of the spokespersons, Sunday Dare, former Minister of Sport, as well as the spokesperson.
Is Bawa more qualified than Ngalale, who was there?
Well, we were looking at if government will allow Bayo Onanuga to continue to be the spokesman, but they said, no, we have 3 spokesmen now. I mean, one is speaking for policy, one is speaking for this and all of that. Those other decisions, they are all speaking. Well, yes, we may have said, looking at, I mean, how social media springs up in the country, and then the fact that government criticism is still on the high side, and they may need a handful of men, you know, deployed to
anybody but Ngalale.
I mean, a concern about that, and there may also be a boardroom politics that was played, you know, to show Ngalale out of the way, probably because he didn't have who could have stood by him to the end. But that's not even the matter, because at the end of the day, it does not affect, you know, the economy of the country, which is really a paramount for a concern. But we are saying that in looking at you know, the bilateral relations and investment of foreign, you know, enterprises in the country, we should begin to take it serious. Because if we do not take it serious, those people also see that we are not serious about it, and they will probably may begin to withdraw some of their support, which we do not want that in this country. because she cannot even help herself.
Well said. Let's move to the U.S., where United States President-elect Donald Trump is reportedly planning to sign an executive order that would remove all transgender members from the country's military. Daily Mail reports that the development has raised concerns within the LGBTQ community. The development is coming amid moves by the U.S. Congress to stop first transgender lawmaker from using female restrooms and bathrooms in her new workplace. Did we see this coming? We know that Donald Trump had many things he was not interested in, and this is definitely one of them. Do you think this is going to cause more chaos, or this is just the beginning of more things to come when it has to do with Donald Trump?
Yeah, what we've seen, Donald Trump, he has really, some would said, he's starting on a good note, and some would said it's just initial, gra-gra, in terms of having to return back to the White House. But we've seen someone who probably has a plan. We've seen somebody returning to the White House as, as a returnee, as the White House, not just a first occupant of that. We've seen how his immigration policies and threats, in terms of security and all of that. Yeah, he has spoken loudly about what he believes in, his own religion.
Yes, he's a fan of LGBT.
He's not a fan of LGBT and all of that. So, but the truth of the matter is that American people knew about these policies. They knew about what he stands for. So, it more like what does the majority really are saying? Yes, we are aware of the transgender issues in America. We are aware of the massive support already from the country, even trying to support other countries, to also have this practice and implementations. But we are more concerned about if this becomes, institutionalized, already. We're also more concerned about what it really means for, the beliefs of some Christians in America who does not in any way really appreciate this very openly. So, if Donald Trump has his way, and of course, the chambers, the lower chambers and the upper chambers also have his weight in terms of backing this policy. It may be a game changer for him and his administration trying to make this rejig.
All right, well said, and that definitely Africa will be supporting that move because Africa is not in support of the LGBTQ community. Let's bring you back home and talk about issues as regards the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has responded to the allegations from the People's Democratic Party governors regarding the manipulation of the 2024 Edo State governorship election. During a recent two-day meeting in Jos Plateau State, the PDP governors claimed that the electoral irregularities prevented the party's candidate, Asu Ighodalo, from winning in Edo. The PDP governors also accused INEC of rigging in the recent Ondo election. They alleged that INEC altered results to benefit the APC and urged the judiciary and lawmakers to enhance the electoral laws to combat what they refer to as institutional sabotage of the will of the people. Do you agree with the PDP, or is just the PDP crying foul because they've lost? I was in Edo State. We had the mixture of, yes, federal might came into play, but there was also this factor of Godwin Obaseki not having delivered the goods, and the people were tired and wanted a change. So do you think the PDP, their cries are any genuine, even though we know that the APC seem to have the judiciary on their side technically?
I mean, the fight of Nigeria's opposition is really strong now, and that those that are pointing fingers, some point fingers to the squatters, some point fingers to INEC and all of that. It's a normal thing to push blame at the end of the day. But what really should bother us is about our institution. When you look at the investment we have towards our elections, does it really look that we are improving on elections every time we have an election in this country? That's the question. The transparency of INEC is paramount, because when two elephants are fighting, you just have to be, transparent as a judge at the end of the day, so that people will not start finding. Yes, we understand that there is no election that one can conduct that will be perfect or without criticism. Even in America, after all, that those that will say Donald Trump, in 2020,
even Trump didn't agree with
the last result that he lost election. He's still saying. I mean, even look at the traditional, rituals that have been doing in terms of transition. He didn't transit to Biden officially
Biden,
from the White House. So in other crimes it happens. What happens then, you may know the stories that backed up some of the justification that the election wasn't right. But in Nigeria, it looks like from 1999, having a steady democracy in practice, we've been having this issue of election. And then there's still a very much point that we still improve ourselves. The latest one that happened in Ondo was the issue of vote buying. The truth of the matter is that, yes, it's against the law to buy votes. We've seen security agencies that were deployed, to man
to prevent all of that buying or selling.
But Anthony, we understand the problems that many Nigerians are facing. Issues of hunger. The economy hardship is real. That people cannot reject 10,000. People cannot reject 20,000. There's no amount of grammar that you speak to many Nigerians today that don't say your vote, you are selling your future. They look at the past future and compare. This is the past future. I'm just casually saying it. So the issues has always been that the only thing that institution like INEC should understand that they hold the trust of the people. Because if people now start feeling that...
But do you think INEC has actually failed us? That's why it's even hard to trust INEC.
The proof of IREV, you brought IREV. IREV was that votes should be transmitted from polling directly to that. You brought beavers. So we have deployed technology. So we felt that when we have the technology deployed, issues of we can access IREV, political parties saying we have downloaded results from IREV. What you are giving us at the collation center is different from where we are. So these are the issues, and it's valid. Let it be that as election is ongoing, somebody sitting in America, somebody sitting wherever, and is able to make viewpoint of the elections, as we've seen in even South Africa recent election. So at that moment, you know that people are satisfied. In polling unit A, this is what this political party scored. So when you now do the sum calculations of every elections from the polling unit, everybody will now go back to sleep without even you bothering yourself. And then another thing has always been the fast forwardness of INEC. Sometimes they delay to announce. And then when you delay to announce, people that have phones with their polling unit result uploaded, you see polling unit A, PDP 1, polling unit B, PDP. So at the end of the day, they make the sum total of all of these votes from their own announcement. So let INEC look at how they can be fast forward during the election. Tell us at this level government, this is when we've gathered this announcement. Do not wait to collect. At the point of collation, you've given room for people to make their own calculation. We know better for the guidelines of INEC. So the highest level of transparency should be there. They have been doing a fantastic job in terms of deployment. It's not easy to deploy all of those thousands of staff and managing of election on a particular day after the whole month of preparation. But let transparency be key, so that many Nigerians can always have the key to the fact that there's nothing wrong with our elections.
Right. One key issue is the fact that the appointment of the INEC chair, they say that's where the biggest problem is, because as long as the presidency appoints the INEC chairman, he's definitely going to do the bidding of the presidency. Do you think it's time for INEC chairman to be appointed by some other means rather than the presidency?
Which other means
can this set up? We can have the judiciary, even though the judiciary seems to be
National Judicial Council that select judges in this country. We are still having problem with the judiciary. So even if we have, a external body that are still Nigerians that will be doing all of this, we'll still have the problem. But the concern should be that people should be determined to make things work. People should know that they should serve the country first. They should put the country first, because we will not borrow people from America to come and fix this country. We will not borrow people from any developed nations to come and fix this country. The template they had used, well, that's what probably we should look at and see that there was a commitment to our country first. So everybody that has been appointed by the president, yes, the president is just under a civilian monarchy of 4 years. I'm using a civilian monarchy because he has authority to make what, decide what, and do what.
But do you think we should also change we've tried other sectors. Now we're using those in the academia. They've shown that they are not as allegedly straightforward like we thought they would be. Can we try other persons to be INEC chair? Do you think that could save our lives? Probably clergymen.
I still insist.
Do you think clergymen will do better?
Clergymen. Have you not seen clergymen that have been appointed in this country that still, that still mess up around? So it's not just about who you are. It's all about the sector you're coming from. It's about your personality. It's about the character.
But if we can get honest men in the judiciary,
absolutely.
In the
there are some politicians that are honest. But the image they have given to Nigerian politicians that all of them, I mean, basically many politicians, or 80% or 90% of politicians are not honest. But we have honest and principled politicians who believe in his particular principle and standard. But the idea is not about, the sector one is coming from. Have we not seen Mike Gini of INEC in this country? Mike Gini conducted election in Akwa Ibom, my own state, and did not pick call of a governor. He didn't pick call of a senator. He stood in to do the right thing.
Where is he now? That's the question.
Exactly. The Nigerian system sometimes do not appreciate all of these issues. So the question is, if you have such men of character that are coming from that angle of how he was appointed, recall that he didn't appoint himself. He still had, some level of acceptance of government before he was being appointed. But he stood his ground to say, no, I won't do this. We have Professor Jiga who conducted election in 2015 and said, no, I won't do. I mean, the ruling party will put pressure on him. He's choosing to do the right thing. So it should be a commitment by many Nigerians to know that we have to fix this country. If there's no commitment to that, there's nobody that you bring in Reverend Father, bring in Imam, bring in whosoever you want to bring. There will be no difference, much difference. Let's put our country first.
All right, let's go into the political parties themselves. Still talking PDP matters. There is currently no end to sight to the leadership crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party. The move to remove the acting national chairman of the party, Umar Damagum, has continued to suffer setbacks following the continuous postponement of the National Executive Committee NEC meeting. The also reports that the obtained time the main opposition party on Friday postponed its proposed NEC meeting meant to discuss some issues, be devil in the party, and present a substantive national chairman that would take over from Damagum and complete the tenure of the suspended Ayocha Ayu. Recall that the 98th NEC meeting on April 18 and the NEC fixed August 15 to resolve all lingering issues, but unfortunately it was postponed, rescheduled for October 24 as the plot to oust Damagum thickened, and the meeting was further shifted to October 24th to November 28th. According to the party, the move was to ensure that it goes into the recently concluded Ondo Guba elections with unity, strength, and demanded to unseat the APC. The APC, the PDP, do you think they're already imploding inside? What do you think it's just a question of two ego-driven men in the person of Nyesom Wike and Abubakar Atiku robbing this party on to the mud?
I mean, the problem of People's Democratic Party is really beyond these two persons, because we look at...
But they seem to be the two people that are dragging the removal.
There are factors that are pointing towards that direction. Why are they doing that? That those are fews. I mean, former Governor Wike, if you want to work with, if you are dining now with the ruling party, which is the APC, can you now take a side decision to the fact? Let's know where you are, because you cannot stand with this party ideology. Recall that many of former Governor Wike have said, if I cannot join malaria, I cannot leave malaria to go and join typhoid and all of those, that, trying to take back his own word. So it's clearly that there's ideology about PDP, there's ideology about APC. So if you want to serve for APC, that those that are having that direction, be committed, defect, join them. And then the PDP, two persons, because of in terms of bigmarism or
plan towards 2027,
all the financial implications have endangered People's Democratic Party, that many people cannot talk because they are just after what to really eat. Because we can't understand how a constitution of the party is existing. See, democracy cannot work when our positions are together. We cannot have an effective democracy. We cannot have a good democracy when our opposition or political parties are not strong. So there's a need for political parties to understand how much they can, because we do not have a single party system in the country for one to say, okay, based on my own capacity, I can be able to stay on my own and all of that. Everybody belongs to a political party. Irrespective of how good you are, you still fall back to a political party. So there's a need for PDP and those members in the National Working Committee to understand that the back and forth within the party is not really putting democracy, towards the right light. We need good opposition, people to criticize government constructively, people to engage the government of the day on their policies, people to look at how we can better an election process to be interesting. One party system cannot work.
Do you think Damagum is really the man to save the PDP, or he is after saving Nyesom Wike?
We've seen, he has explained, he has held press briefing that he's serving the party. that is a party interest, that the party gave him the mandate to complete the tenure of IU, and the North Central people, where IU is from, he said, no, we had only based on the crisis, then based on the fact that you were the vice chairman of the party, so we had only accepted on the basis that you're the vice chairman of the party to briefly having that on subsequent to NEC meeting, there will be confirmation and ratification of a new acting chair, a new chairman of the party to complete the term of the North Central, and for that chairman to complete till the next national convention of the party next year, 2025. But Damagum has insisted that he is the vice chairman, and if anything happens to the chairman, so there are different interpretations to all of these things. The matter is even in the court. But what we are only saying is that if Damagum really feels that he can serve one person beyond the interest of the party, we wonder where he's trying to take the party to, because at the end of the day, when you lose membership, when you lose followership, when you lose people believing on the party that you in quotes trying to lead, you are leading the party astray. And you're not just leading the party astray, even yourself, you're also in the boats that also sink.
Do you agree with the school of thought that believes that this back and forth in the PDP is deliberate by the APC being using someone as a small
I'm not a believer of that.
to destroy
you have
the
your
party?
house, you can fix your house. I'm not a believer of that one person outsider can be destroying my own house. I take full responsibility for whatever will happen to me within my house. If it's based on some person I'm having in my house, I will know how to control the person as a leader. So it's just about the nation. I mean, when you look at who are those in APC? They once had, they once belonged to other political parties. They once fought opposition. They once stood their grounds for something. Were the ruling party, were they pointing fingers for the ruling party who had all of the resources when PDP were in power for 16 years? The people point out fingers to them that they were trying to destroy all the political parties? The emergence of ACN and subsequent APC that is now in power today, were they crying that people are trying to destroy their party and all of that? It's about the commitment of the people to come together to see how they can support themselves beyond the crisis or beyond the intentions of one person. One person cannot destroy the party.
Can we say the XY president has not been fair to the party that brought him to power? Talking about Goodluck Jonathan. In terms of his commitment to make the party come back to its rightful place, and also looking at Olusegun Obasanjo also, would you say these two gentlemen have not done enough to arrest the crisis in the People's Democratic Party?
Political party is about interests, Anthony. And you only go to a political party because you're interested, one thing or the other, either to be in the office or to have an appointment and all of that. So we've seen that Goodluck Jonathan, His Excellency former President Goodluck Jonathan, has retired from politics successfully. He feels he's now an elder statesman. He's on a peacekeeping mission across Africa and regional development. He's seeking for the interests of the betterment of the country. So he doesn't want to be involved much in political party affair. We've seen him severally visited former President Buhari, of APC. We've also seen him visiting, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So he has retired to become a state person, so a statesman. But what we can only say is that if you are still a member of the party, let people clearly know and understand. We've seen
because he has not really come out to say he's
only a Obasanjo that choice. I mean, for record's sake, denied, being a PDP member. So to become a statesman. But Goodluck hasn't made any confirmation about his defection or his neutrality from political party, because the last count, he was a candidate of the party in 2015. So if from that moment till now your ideology has changed, let the people know. But in any sense, there's nothing wrong about former president being a statesman. Offering advices to he's still a unit, that also get to engage the government, because people must always get to government. Oh, this policy is not
even working. His state, he still has that advantage.
So he clearly should look at many Nigerians, and not just looking at the elite, should understand that there is a need, for political parties to be strong. When we have stronger political party, our democracy is stronger, the rule of law is stronger. People are afraid of taking wrong decisions that will be at the detriment of the many citizens, because it's about Nigeria first.
Put Nigeria first. All right, let's move on to the tax reform bills, where a member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abdulmumuni Jibrin, has claimed that the tax reform bill sent by President Bola Tinubu will be passed by both chambers of the National Assembly. Jibrin's comments came on barely 24 hours after the Northern Elders Forum called on the federal lawmakers from the region to reject the bills. He said he was speaking as a guest in one of political program. Jibrin, who chairs the House Representative Committee on Housing and Habitat, admitted that the Tinubu, through the tax reforms, and other issues will make things better, and other economic policies is giving his today for Nigeria's tomorrow. That's what he is saying. All right, let's just go for a quick break. When we return from this break, we'll be looking at that issue, and also we'll be taking to Edo State, where Governor Mondo Okpeholo has overturned Obaseki's policies. We'll be looking at this and other stories after this break. All right, we've reached the business end of the program. Let's do some talking points as regards the bills. Let's look at, we've got Abdulmumuni Jibrin saying this bill will be passed, indirectly saying whether the Northern Caucus likes it or not, whether any group of persons are in support of it or not, is going to be passed. Do you think that's fair enough in a democratic setting? And at the same time, do you think probably the northern region, the caucus, is also feeling a sense of entitlement that every decision has to favor them? Absolutely.
I mean, the two coins are quite there. But the last time I was speaking with the senator from the north, he said, yes, we understand that the bill has some good intentions.
Yeah.
But there are also some clauses and some, part of the bill that looks at it will not favor north. And you rightly said, we'll look at the country, I mean, a lot of abuse and laws, considerations and reforms just for the interest of a particular region.
No.
So, this is a question. When we look at the broader, when you look at the content of the bill, when you look at, the implementations of the bill, when you look at the issues the bills are raising, we look at the validity of it, you look comparison of all of that. So if you put it on the scale, you measure. If it works better to improve on what we have, then we should accept it. But I mean, since it's the presidential bill, and it looks that everybody wants to be in the good books of the president. So they are all queuing behind supporting the bill, and the northern senators are like the antagonists of the government of the day, backed by the governors forum, who have also raised that there was no proper consultation for that bill to be, first taken to the National Assembly. That they ought to have probably invited all the governors in respect to the national economic team, to have an input and discussion so that they can have a take. But, clearly, we've also seen the spokesman of the president, Boala, also yesterday said, Boala said that it's part of the manifesto of the president. That is the content from the manifesto of the president, that he wanted to make some reforms in our tax. Because we cannot have every agency making their own taxes, like collecting their own taxes. They are generating their own taxes and collecting by themselves and all of that. There should be a central point for all of these things to be done. Yes, while we criticize that, VAT, you know, when we look at the value-added tax considerations about derivation and all of those considerations by the northern people are really valid. But let's look at other content of the bill.
Yes.
Can we begin to say, okay, fine, should they expunge this part of the bill and allow the rest?
For me, I don't think it's about expunging. I think they should let it be, because just as certain parts do not favor the northern region, so it doesn't favor some other regions. So if we all say we're going to start expunging every part of it,
just because
it doesn't favor
it's still on the flip side.
Have an empty tax bill.
It's still on the flip side. So the entirely we looked at. Let's see what if it has good intention. The problem is about if what government are bringing on board really has a good intention. They shouldn't be point of all of these clamoring within the north. Let it be that the president have aware. Let us also not see the fact that Northern are the only person that are really attacking government, seeing that they are not supporting the president. Because I had asked the senator, does it look that the northern people are really against the policies of this president because he's from the southwest and all of that? He said no, that's just about the people. And when you look at the people, you know, Nigerians are still the people. It's not just the people in the north. It's about the generality, because even people that are living in the north, we also have, you know, people that are not from the north that are residing in the north. So it should be Nigeria first. It shouldn't just be a section, you know, agitations just to get, you know, the attentions of the people. But at the end of the day, the majority at the National Assembly will always have a say. But let this be a robust consideration. And there should be also, you know, a deliberate, you know, interaction, consultation, so that people can understand the content of the bill. Because it will surprise you, some persons that are not supporting the bill today do not know the full content of the bill. Before you beat a child, try and find out what the child has done.
All right, let's wrap our conversation up by taking to Edo State, where the state governor, Monday Okpeholo, has abolished the new traditional councils created by his predecessor, Godwin Obaseki, in Edo State Senatorial District. Reports state Okpeholo also restored the statutory financial entitlement of the Benin Traditional Council, BTC, and ordered that the status quo be before the creation now abolished councils be maintained. Friday Toa, the chief press secretary to the governor, made this known in a statement issued in Benin City. How do you see this played out? It seems that he's making it, there's nothing Obaseki has done that seems to be right.
When we look at
this has to do with the traditional head, and which is very paramount to the people of Edo State.
And it's not just about the traditional head saga. He has also set up panel to probe
500 cars missing. 500 cars missing.
You know, Nigerian democracy is evolving. We have witnessed change of power in 2015 from one party system to the other. And then when you look at going to the state, it has always been, the drama has always been in the state. Most especially when it has to be a change from a particular party to the other party. Yeah. So clearly, but the concern many have always had, that it should rather be for the sake of development, not destructive. Because if we want to start, you know, going after the achievements or the decisions, policies, programs of the former governor, when you're supposed to probably look at where to start from and hit the ground running, you know, it's total waste of time. We've seen that Buhari didn't come into power to say, I'm going after Jonathan. Yes, he might have, to some extent, do all of that just to be able to gather put government properties back to fold. But there was an institution. There are existing ministries. There are existing corporations and all of those things. Can we begin to look at? Yes, Governor Obaseki might have stepped on toes. He might have played his politics wrongly and all of that. But we've seen that many of these governors, we can't really say we have had perfect governors. One way or the other, they have stepped on toes. Rather, my concern should rather be that Senator Monday should rather focus more on getting some of his planned manifestos, you know, implemented in the state. Where Godwin has stopped. If there are cases of embezzlement, if there are cases of traditional right that he had withdrawn from the traditional council, or struggles over full powers and all of that, he can go back and make all of this implementation. But we shouldn't be hearing Obaseki and Okpebholo just because of issues of governance. Rather, he has won the election, he won the party, he won the ruling party in the state, got into a government house. He should rather focus on trying to see what he can do for the people of Edo State, because it's about what you can offer for the people of Edo, not really how much a panel you set up to probe the former government, to probe the former commissioner. That really should be the concern of Senator Monday.
All right, that means we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition. I want to say a big thank you to my colleague Edika Michael for doing a yeoman's job within the few minutes, breaking it down, helping us do analysis of all the bigger talking points from the global scene till we got to the subnational level. Edika, thank you. It's a pleasure having you in the studios. Thank you. All right, so that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for being part of the show.